And we are counting down.
How are these? Can you hear me, Sheldon?
Yeah, I just can't see.
Your camera is off.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Bands to make her.
There
And
you go.
then Carmen will
like
be the
those.
only person. Yeah, I would say Carmen will be the only person that can see you.
You like those, Carmen?
Yeah, they actually, it looks like a less glare.
Yeah, because they don't have that stuff on them.
Got it.
The other ones are like grown and sexy.
Okay.
But then I made for Carmen's show.
Let's go.
Key Glock.
Get your nightgown on. Let your head sing low. I'm in a mood.
You got to say my.
Oh, I'm on air. I didn't even know.
We're on
This is karaoke.
I didn't know y'all was in the video. I was making my own video.
My. You sure sound fine tonight.
You sure looks good tonight. Come
All right.
on.
Yo, what's up? It is your girl, Saint CJ, and this is the Insta News break, and we have been on a break. Yeah, everybody got to take a break. The kids was on spring break. We took a 2-week break. So, but anyway, now we're back. And in the building tonight, I got Metro Men of Atlanta podcast host Sheldon G. Horton. And okay, Nick Cannon with the turban on. I see you. Then we got the creator and executive producer of INSTA Atlanta, plus my fourth wall breaker producer, Carmen Simmons. Over here. Now she got you and your props.
We're gonna need it tonight.
The last time was all right. Well, we have a special guest, great guest commentator, attorney James L. Walker. And y'all, he been reading me my rights already. It's real rude up in here. You know what I'm saying? It's motions and overthrowing and I object and adjourn. I don't even know all this stuff. But he's here and he's about to weigh in on some of these hot topics that we got going on in the entertainment world, baby. Woo. Carmen, stage.
It's a lot.
Carmen,
it's a lot.
Stage, Carmen, stage.
It's a lot.
Right. So, welcome to the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'm about to break down these topics that we're about to talk about. Okay. So tonight we are breaking down the latest hot topics, including Sean Diddy Combs named in new sexual assault case, this time against his son, Christian Combs. Christian too young. This is crazy. Young Miami, who was accused by the producer, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, of being paid by Diddy for sex and smuggling drugs on his behalf, went viral after a photo of what appears to be the pair hugged up on a balcony with the caption "Bobby and Whitney." Ray J and Princess Love filed for divorce for the 4th time. Maybe they'll stick. And then Alicia Keys' Hell's Kitchen. Mendici tells Yandy their marriage feels more like a business arrangement. This a little deep. This a little. We came in hot. We coming in hot this week. So to get this popped off and started, y'all ready?
We ready.
We're ready.
This one for you, Attorney Walker. That's your name, Attorney Walker. Here we go. Sean Diddy Combs named as a co-defendant in a new lawsuit alleging that his son, Christian King Combs, sexually assaulted a woman working on a yacht chartered by his father. After the worker notified the captain about the assault the following morning, but she alleges that after Combs gave him a large amount of cash the same day, the captain failed to meaningfully investigate or take any action. The suit mentions there's audio and another worker interrupted the assault when they entered the room. How much trouble could both King Combs be in, and how could this affect Diddy's other lawsuits?
Well, let's deal with the first issue you alluded to with regards to the ship. When she shared that information about the owner of the ship or the pilot of the ship, captain, I think what she's insinuating or insisting upon is that they didn't do their duty to investigate it. So she's trying to, first of all, tie them to this party. Secondly, for Diddy, as the person who rented the boat or the ship, they're trying to get him with liability by saying, even though I might not have done something wrong, you're on premises that I control, that I rented, that I paid for. Therefore, to a certain extent, I'm almost indirectly involved because I didn't do what I was supposed to do to make it a safe environment. Now, to the young man, Christian King Combs, who, as we all know, lives his best life. If you just follow him on social media, he lives his best life. What she's essentially saying is, hey, I came on this ship, you showed up and basically touched me inappropriately, put your hands on certain part of my body, and your hand shouldn't have been there. And I asked you to stop, and you didn't stop. So I think it's problematic for Diddy because we have the other lawsuits. If this lawsuit was standing alone and we didn't have a Homeland Security investigation going, we didn't have Little Rod's suit going, we didn't have the suit with the young lady out of Detroit going on, and we didn't have, of course, the big Cassie settlement that we all believe was in the high 8-figure millions settlement area. When you take this, cast it against all of that, it's just not good for Sean Combs, aka Puffy, aka Diddy, who I pray for all the time. We went to Howard together, and I just hate to see this come upon somebody that I've known since he was 18, 19, and we were both doing parties together at Howard, but it just seems like he has a propensity to find himself in these situations every 5 to 10 years, and I don't seem to know why. And now he's got his 2 sons fighting for their survival. And I really think the way this is going to play out is the white kid who got caught at the airport with the drugs last week in Miami going to take a fall here. I think the sons, they're going to work this down to misdemeanor probation or something. I don't think they'll do no hard time because 3 of the ladies have already said they were not sex workers, despite everything 50 Cent is posting every day about sex workers. They've said they're not. So I think it's going to be hard unless they have something on these tapes that Little Rod has. Little Rod has tapes that show certain evidence. I don't know what the tapes say. He says he has audio, according to all the articles we've read. If he has something that directly impugns Diddy's character or directly shows, teenagers going across the line or across state lines, now you got some issues. Now you have some problems.
So let me ask you this. For how much evidence do they already have to have in order to have Homeland Security
rating
go and pull up on you and knock on your door?
Yeah, they have a lot. For Homeland Security to pull up with that many officers and that many agents at his house in LA, Miami, and wherever else, they have something. You don't do that just on a phone call or email or text message. They have somebody cooperating with them. It might be Cassie's people, because her lawyer has said several times we will cooperate with the federal government and federal agents and federal agencies. So they have to have something to make them go investigate and do all of this. What's telling is that they haven't arrested anyone yet, that no one's been arrested. Now, the initial report said both Christian and Justin were arrested. Then later it was clarified they were just detained outside of the house while the agents raided every room of the houses. So right now, if you're Diddy, he's probably quietly talking to some of the people who he thinks might be on these tapes and making sure that they kind of, Sheldon kind of changes his story. Sheldon was at the party with him. Sheldon is a Arab with a hat on, with the turban on, and he no longer style. He doesn't recall ever being at a Diddy party. He might have went one time, but he wasn't really there. It seemed like he was there. There's a lot you can do with $1 billion.
Right.
So one thing I agree with 50 Cent on, Carmen, one thing I agree with 50 Cent on, 50 Cent posted what I thought was the smartest post a month ago. He said, Puffy has FU money. That said a lot, because What he really was saying is he has so much money that he can buy people off, pay people off. He can do a lot of stuff that the average rap artist can't do.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
It could be 20 women lined up. Puffy has Tiger Woods kind of money.
So
You know?
Yeah.
Tiger was able to pay them 29 white girls off. Puffy can do something like that.
I'm very conflicted in my feelings about this these cases against Diddy because, you know, Diddy has been literally the soundtrack to my entire teenage years. From 14 to about 19, 20, it was all Bad Boy for me. I used to go to those Howard homecomings because I had cousins that went to Howard. I actually met Bad Boy, Diddy and 112 and Mace at a homecoming at Howard. My cousin used to work for Uptown. I've been to those offices. It is very disheartening to me that these cases are pending against him. However, because I've been around for so long, I have heard some of these stories throughout the years, different versions of these type of stories from artists, from media, from people that work in the industry. And what's also disheartening is if some of these allegations are true, we have taken a very long time to do something about it. So my question is, on a legal note, we heard allegedly that when he returned that publishing to whichever artist that was willing to accept it, that it also came with an NDA. If they're, I guess the word may be deposed, if for some reason they are questioned, does that NDA protect Diddy from them talking? Or if it's something illegal, will they still be able to say what they need to say?
An NDA does not survive a criminal investigation. So if I sign an NDA with you that I won't talk about certain things, but then you do something criminal and the criminal or federal authorities come out and say, hey, James, we need to ask you about so-and-so, so-and-so. You couldn't come after me in a civil lawsuit because criminally I gotta disclose this. I have a duty to turn over information. That's why Cassie's lawyers are allowed to cooperate. Even though Cassie signed a settlement agreement that's probably prohibiting her from talking about certain things, if she gets a call from federal agency and they say, hey, is it true that 3 girls of high school age were riding in cars with you or flying across state lines with you and Diddy, she's going to have to cooperate. They're going to subpoena her. They're going to bring her room. Might even put her right now. They might have people sitting before a grand jury, hearing testimony and waiting for a grand jury to come out with an indictment against Diddy. Might be stacking all the evidence because remember they got them laptops out of his house too, and they got a
I just realized something.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys. I ain't breaking the laws, Brother Sheldon, but I don't want nobody going through my phone. There are times when you can't find something in your phone. It might be a picture of one of your relatives or one of your children, and you say, "Oh, I know I got that picture from the baseball game." And you start scrolling through, and you go back.
Play me 50 feet.
And you go, oh,
play me 50 feet.
50 feet.
When I'm scrolling through this one, please stand back.
So you can imagine what might be in Diddy's phone. And like you, Carmen, I go back to college with him. And in college, we would do these parties. So I was the guy doing all the Greek parties, alphas, Qs, deltas, just dozens of them. And we were making so much money. And then Puff was doing all the New York parties where they were buck wild. There sometimes would be fights. Never had enough security. And I would always sit him down and say, brother, man, you're very popular. You're very light. Women want to come to your party because, you know, everybody want a roughneck. Got to have a roughneck. And you bring in that New York, Philly, Chicago element to your parties. My parties, on the other hand, Greek parties. You know, you keep the Fernie brothers from their egos blowing up and then wanting to fight Qs against alphas. You keep them calm and keep a bunch of pretty women around, and you don't have no problems.
Right.
But Diddy would have these parties where it would just be pandemonium because it was so hot. You know, it was so hot. But it's like he never caught that lesson of you got to have boundaries. You got to have some rules. You got to have security. You got to have some Sheldons in the room to keep everybody calm. Everybody can't be like pro you that they let you do everything you want to do. You got somebody in the room that's going to say, hey, James, yo, this wine, these sangrias, these, iced teas or whatever you're doing, it's too much. And the parties were like from Howard to the incident with Heavy D and at the New York party.
At St. John's, I believe.
St. John's, the J-Lo thing with Shine. I was with him in court. I've never really talked about this before, but Terry Williams is aware. Terry Williams would have me come to court with him because she wanted moral support from Howard to be there. And who better to get than one of his classmates who has a clean slate, wins cases, has all these gospel artists. Like it was like the antithesis, We're gonna have you come, James, sit in the courtroom, be there if the press asks questions. And he was scared as hell. During that trial, he was scared as hell. And my mentor, Johnny Cochran, got him off the hook. But he was scared.
But here's the thing about that case that's so interesting, because the victim from that case, she's never kept quiet. She's always kept talking. And now she just did an interview, I think it was with News Nation, where she's like, she wants the case reopened because she been saying that Puffy's the one that shot her. She told the doctor that Puffy shot her. Yeah. Like she told the police that Puffy shot her, and nobody was listening.
It's double jeopardy, though. She can't. He's already been tried and found not like O.J. Simpson. Rest in peace today. Which I will say, for whatever you thought about O.J. Simpson, he really exposed our criminal justice system. His case,
he
put our system on trial, and that's the best thing that his case did. But O.J. couldn't be tried again criminally, nor could Puffy. As much as this lady might be telling the truth, you can't try him again. He's already been tried.
Right.
Interesting enough, I was looking at something the other day that actually said that people who are sexual enthusiasts, like they're trying to paint Diddy, typically film things and they keep a long history of the different activities that they've been a part of. So I'm almost positive. I cannot imagine how people really, really feel knowing what's in the media about him secretly recording everything. Like I can't imagine, because there was a lot of people, because the young man who I don't know what his nationality is. I know he's just not black. When he accidentally walked in the room and saw those high-powered, according to him, saw these high-powered actors and dignitaries in this room having very intimate sessions with each other and Diddy. And he literally has gotten online and said that I'm going to tell the whole world because I heard him say years ago, if I die, it's him.
But Sheldon, let me say something. I've been wanting to say this on social media for a few weeks. I'm a heterosexual straight man. I love women. I love the finesse of women, the comfort of women, just the holding of a woman. But I feel even with all of that, there's this undercurrent of homophobia that's driving a lot of this. I saw Puffy doing this with a man. I saw this guy over here. Is Meek Mill gay? Is this one gay? Will Smith and Dwayne Martin. And even if these men are living that life, not my thing. I wouldn't get down like that. I've been in the industry forever, and people throw it your way, and you keep it moving. But even if they are, that's their business.
But here's the thing: as an openly gay man, I come from a different vantage point, because at the same time, we do know that of any culture, Black men have the highest of toxicity when it comes to homosexuality.
Correct.
So my thing is not that, because I'm okay with all of them doing it, to be honest. But, we ain't gonna go there. But at the end of the day, they are not okay. And as affirming as your response sounded, the reality of it, these people could lose everything.
Right. But it's not a crime, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
But watch this though.
The thrust of these lawsuits is that these men are undercover DL gay, and they're doing these threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes with all these high-powered people, and it's so revolting and so just, oh my God, you can't put it down when it comes across your screen. But is it a crime?
It's not a crime. But watch this though. The criminality of it is not, for me, a gay man. It's not the problem. But my thing is, do they deserve to be exposed though? That's my thing.
No, they don't.
They deserve, you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so that's why I can't imagine what they could be dealing with, because sometimes even I feel like all of this is strategic. You tell me if you think different.
Mhm.
Simply because this stuff has been online for a very long time.
I don't care who's in your bed with you. I care that you treat people right. You respect women. You respect men. You respect our gay community. You respect our Christian community. You respect everybody. I don't need to know who you're sleeping with. I don't need to know who you have slept with. I don't need to know if you slept with one person, two people, or five people. I just need to know you're following the law. I would preferably hope you're not dating 10-year-old girls if you're 35, 45, 55-year-old men or older. We all saw this week with Russell Simmons' daughter. Sorry, Carmen, I know that's your cousin, but there was a lot of outrage, and I'm in that old maybe fuddy-duddy group that I just don't think you should be running with 20-year-olds like that, and they're gonna come at you because you're wealthy, you're successful. That comes with being wealthy and successful. You're gonna get that crew calling and DMing you. It's just the norm.
But my thing was a little, because I wasn't going to mention the sexuality part of it. It's just what is causing this to move right now, because a lot of this stuff has been online for at least over a decade. None of this has ever moved the pendulum. No one has ever come after Diddy for any of the things that seems to now be used as collateral and as not collateral, but as evidence in cases. Now they want to use this. Now they want to reflect on this. Now they want to use the things that are happening online as leads, but it couldn't provoke anybody before now to be a just enough cause to come after Diddy, because this stuff has been out there forever. I believe that there is another machine behind this, and this is a greater plot from the wrong people in the right places.
Of course, I agree too. However, I think a lot of this would have never came out before, just for the simple fact that we said many times when we had this conversation about this very topic, is that no one would have believed them. It never would have gotten this far because of the things that have been set in stone in terms of Epstein and Weinstein and other people. Because those things stuck. Now this gave this a chance to actually stick. And Cassie being the first person to get her stuff out there.
That's it right there.
Now, of course, it's taken seriously, because it's like, it's one thing for Jane Doe to say something. It's another thing for Cassie, who we know was with him for so long, left, being still harassed to a certain degree in the public eye. And now she's like, no, this is what this man did to me. And it's like, oh.
Not only did she file a suit against him, but he settled it immediately.
Yeah, in record time.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think CJ, you nailed it in terms of the Time's Up movement that my good friend Nina Shaw and company out in LA have started. She's a very high-powered entertainment lawyer in LA named Nina Shaw. The movement that they've started with the Time's Up movement and of course the Me Too movement and all of this, I think Weinstein, Cosby, Epstein, now Puffstein, they've all just fallen.
That was good.
It's just the worst hour for him. Like they got him, and even we know Russell being in Bali, they were trying to do it to Russell, but Russell was smart. Russell got out of the country, laid quiet for a while, had a few explosions with his daughter, which I told him, like, come on, bro, this is not the way you want to handle that. But besides that, Russell was smart to get out of the country. And Diddy kind of believes, as he did at Howard, he's kind of always believed his own press. Like at Howard, we were both getting a lot of attention. He was in student newspaper. Because, I mean, we're college kids making 10 grand a week. Let's not be funny, you know? And then some weeks we were making 50 if we were doing big step shows. So you're 2021, you're two young men making that kind of money, like printing money. And
come through, Diddy.
Like flashy, the bracelets, the rings, the cars. I was like scared to take the money to the bank because they told me if you put more than 10 grand in the bank, the IRS was going to come to you. So I would be 9,900, 7830, 8260. And I go to Riggs Bank and the lady be like, what's with this random amount? And I was like, well, you know, I send money to mom, you know, I got to pay my rent, got to pay for school. But I was always like, we got to play this down. The most I brought was like a long leather chef like jacket one time and walked across the campus with it because I thought like I deserved that after we did this big event off campus and 6,000 people came. But I was always low key. Diddy has always believed the hype. He has always been, James, we gonna make it. And then when he gets in trouble, he would come to me and say, let's pray. And then we would pray and we would, you know, we talk about it. He knew my grandfather was a minister, so I always kind of had that. We can go party, we can be in the clubs, but I got to be in church on Sunday morning.
Wow.
I might get in at 4 a.m., but I'm going to scroll to the church in the back row, 9 or 10 o'clock, you know, wiping my eyes, but I'm going to be there. And I really believe that's what kept me covered because it was like a lot of close calls, but he's always believed his hype. He's always believed it. And I think in this time's up, like CJ said, this is the time where you can't believe your hype. You got to really believe your things. The media, your handlers, you got to listen to somebody. And through intermediaries, I've sent word to him to find me so I can talk to him because there's a way out of this. This is what I can tell you, the show, Carmen. There's a way out.
You know what though, and it's interesting. So now that we hear so many people talk about Diddy, I think what happens is, and just being the opposite advocate, because I hate the word devil's advocate. But just being the opposite advocate, I think we're doing the same thing that white people do to offenders and lawbreakers of white people. How they claim, not us as in just us four, but I'm talking about the community. As much as we've heard, we know, we realize that this is going on, and we have empathized with the people that have complained about so much. And then even if everything that the people about, if they're saying this is true about all of the people that was in his orbit that are no longer with us, and he had allegedly had something to do with this, it is unbelievable how some people are really rallying behind him in a cultural way, like, oh brother, we rooting for this not to be. Literally, if you are responsible for the things that you said, you are responsible for taking one of the most prolific rappers off the face of this earth way too early. Two of them, to be honest, because Notorious Big was going somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? And who made, so even if the case, like, who made you God, bro? Like, you took so much away from us.
But Sheldon, let's ask the question, why? CJ said Puff is going through this now because he's coming in the heels of Time's Up, the Me Too movement. Why? On the flip side, to your point, Sheldon, the reason Black America is doing for him what you said, kind of enabling, kind of justifying, kind of pacifying, is because he's trying to hit a sentiment with us of they do this to all Black men. They do this to all successful Black men. This is how they do us. There's these powers that want to bring me down because I'm a billionaire and I tried to own Ciroc and I tried to own Diageo and I tried to get my clothing line back and all that stuff. So he's resonating with the chord that's in us, almost to the extent, without going too far to the right or left, Fonnie Willis. Now, y'all know you can't be messing with a man on your job. But because she was a Black woman, we all was like, oh, they taking that sister down and it's so horrible. Come on, y'all. If that was anybody else, a white woman, if it was me and Sheldon was dating somebody at his job and he's taking on Donald Trump, y'all would all be calling him like, Negro, have you lost your mind?
Period.
Mind.
Absolutely.
But there was all these black women that came out supporting Fonnie the same way Diddy is trying to get us to support him, where truthfully, Sheldon and I behind closed doors would say, you made Cassie do what? You had her. These people calling people on hotlines and porn lines and prostitute lines and all this escort stuff. Come on, man. Really?
It's like, as much as he has built in terms of his legacy, I would, if it gotta go down, I just hate for it to go down like this. Like, I hate, because like this is the stigma that's gonna be put on his legacy. When people mention Diddy now, oh, he was trapping hoes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but with a little homophobia too. They say no. The guys are saying no Diddy. If a man compliments another man now, he's saying it's no Diddy. Have you heard that, Sheldon?
I have. Yeah, they have been using that a lot.
That bothers me because now you're doing this toxic homophobia. You got to real quickly say it's no gay. It's almost like when somebody say, "Well, you know, Carmen's gay." Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that there's any, like they got to
over justifying.
Yeah. So I just think if he's that, let him be. But we can't justify what he did. I have more problems with the Cassie stuff than what males he likes in the industry.
Me too.
I have more problems with Cassie. She's a young girl, and I'm sure there's a lot of other young girls that feel some kind of way about what was going on. But let's say this before we change the subject, Carmen. Us men who were in the industry then, silence equals condoning. If I'm running with Saint and I know what Sheldon's doing to Saint, or one of my boys in the industry is doing to Saint, CJ, and I'm not checking for Saint, or I'm not telling my boy, yo, man, you need to treat her better than that. That's a queen. Like, I see how you talk to her. I see how you grab your heart. You grab her sometimes like, whoa. And we typically didn't do that in the music industry. We knew the men who were changing in women like rental cars. We knew who they were. We knew who they were. We knew the men who were, sleeping with her and saying, hey, get her out here. I'm not calling her again. We knew these men. We knew for decades.
Oh, I got something.
And we just condoned it because
CJ, you go first.
And
but I got something based upon what you just said, Attorney Walker.
I was about to switch since we talk about young ladies and what people are doing to young ladies. I was about to go to the next young lady.
Okay, but I know we need to switch up, but I want to say this right here. This is why what you're saying as a straight man coming from, an openly gay man, I appreciate. This is the type of allegiance and brotherhood we need across the board. Because to be perfectly honest, we're all black men. We're all black brothers. A lot of people talk about the gay, the LGBTQ, all that. I will march for because I'm first a black man before I am anything else. And if I walk out in the streets, the last thing that would be an indicator to the powers that be is that I'm gay, because they're gonna see first a black man.
Exactly.
Period. But here's the thing. Here is the problem with people accepting Diddy in whoever he has had sex with, male or female, because a lot of the men that have passed and been adjacent to the toxicity between black men and sat in toxic places concerning sexuality, and used their image of the same masculinity to navigate in this, you're not going to be forgiven by the brothers that was like, bro, I thought you was one of us. Because the first thing they going to think is, nigga, you was fake. You're not real. It's this, and they will never go with it. And it's so crazy, because I always say it is a lot of gay men that are not gay presenting in the industry. We already know it. The one thing about gay men, we're always around bad women that always tell you them secrets about their stuff that they do. And the one thing about black women, Carmen and CJ, they got x-ray vision. And the one thing they do is they see BS a mile away. When a woman say that she can't, it's only because she is choosing something else other than the truth that she sees. But a woman can see deception a mile away, whether she says anything about it or not. So
Wow.
my thing is, we do know that there's a lot of gay brothers in this right here. My thing is, if in fact you can pass through, you can do your imitation of life. Think about it. It was a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
It was a black woman that
Mm-hmm.
could pass
For what? Yep.
for a white woman, right?
Yep.
You are a gay man on the inside that could pass for a straight man. And instead of you sitting and being a bridge and using your power and your ability to be like, hey man, don't handle that man like that. You know what I'm saying? He human just like we human. So when you know what I'm saying, it don't matter. Like what's you screwing the man? Like instead of using your influence and power to get people to bridge the gap, now all y'all being exposed and you look like hypocrites.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That's just my theory.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
Well, speaking of the women that are all dealing with this case on one end of the spectrum or the other, and this one just happens to be on Diddy's side of the spectrum. Young Miami began trending after a photo of what appears to be her paired up, hugged up on a balcony with the caption Bobby and Whitney, and was posted by Young Miami on her Finsta page, right? So Young Miami was named in one of the sexual assault cases filed against Diddy. The suit names her as an alleged sex worker and that she smuggles drugs on his behalf. In previous news, it was reported Diddy will no longer appear on Young Miami's upcoming reality show. Is being associated with Diddy damaging her brand at this point? If you were her attorney, James, what would you tell her?
Wow. CJ, where's she from? I mean, Carmen, where's she from? She got the question.
I was saying, 'cause that was good, CJ.
Yeah, I've never been tongue-tied in an interview before. Well, if I were her attorney, I would tell her, first of all, lay low and let the case play itself out. I would delve into, let's go in my office, the conference room, close the door, and you tell me the truth. Let's go through this complaint. And I need you to tell me, are these allegations by Lil Rod Jones true? Because if they are, you will be subpoenaed. If you jump out here and make a big denial and he's got you on tape or video or text message confirming his lawsuit, then you have a problem. Not from a criminal standpoint, but you have a problem from a survival of your career standpoint. I always start as the entertainment lawyer with, how do we make sure your career survives this? That's where I start with. And I mean, right now, I don't think Carmen even knows this. I've done probably 5 very high profile divorces in the entertainment industry, and 2 more just came in today that I'm working on. I'm always trying to navigate, how do we manage? I'll tell Carmen off the record later. I ain't telling you.
You got Portia and Simon going on over there?
CJ, I can't.
Just call me.
I'll tell Carmen. But my point is, if I'm Young Miami's lawyer, I'm telling her, you got to tell me the truth.
Right.
Because what I can't have you do is get under oath in a deposition or on the stand, and they have evidence that totally impeaches you saying, I'm not a sex worker, I'm not this, that never happened, we never had threesomes, we never did this, we never flew young girls around, I never called phone lines to get Puffy more girls. You can't be saying no to all those things, and then Rod has proof that you did. You got to come clean with me. So let's move to the next level. She comes clean with me and she says, well, I did do some of those things. I did get some young girls from local college. I grabbed some sisters from the HBCU. I grabbed this, I did that. I got some drugs for Diddy. I got alcohol allegedly. I went and did this. Then I'm telling her, okay, I need you to go ghost. I need you ghost right now. I need you to go clean your page, give it all the Diddy stuff slowly. Don't do it all overnight, because then Sheldon will notice it and post something, or Carmen will notice it. So do a gradual removal of all the Diddy stuff little by little. And then I would tell her, let's show you in the community doing some volunteer work. Let's get with Carmen. Let's go find some young girls that you can volunteer, mentor, and do some things like that, if this stuff is true. Right. And I think we're going to find out it's somewhere in the middle. Some of the stuff that Rod said is probably true. Some of it has been exaggerated for the sake of getting a civil suit, because they thought, hey, we filed a suit, Diddy's going to crap. give us the money, settle, blah, blah, blah. That's probably what the lawyers are thinking. I don't know these guys, but they're probably thinking, hey, maybe we can settle this. I have had no conversation with them to even know.
Because I was going to say, like, in a situation, they were in a relationship, right? And at the end of the day, Diddy paid like he weighed. So because he paid like he weighed, of course, why would he not give his girlfriend lump sums of money? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, babe, go shopping. Or, hey, babe, this is just because. Like, I'm pretty sure there's no memo on the notes that said, like, hey, yeah, this was for February 5th, 2024, this event. You know what I'm saying? Like, those lines just getting.
What it seems like is that there are very fine lines, and some of the things that might be in these cases could be true, and some of them may not be. But because some of it could be, it's the could be's and the possibilities. That's what doesn't need to be, or what he would not want to be exposed. But I think that in terms of Young Miami, she probably should just keep it real low regardless, and not be seen or tied to anything involving Diddy, and try to salvage her career without him during this time. If he ends up never being charged and everything goes away, that's something else. But right now, I think that she should continue to not comment on him, but also not post photos saying Bobby and Whitney. That just was not smart.
What do you think she was trying to say? Her and Puffy or Bobby and Whitney?
Yes. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. And that and everybody know that was probably one of the biggest catastrophes.
Most
when
toxic
visually the most toxic relationships
ever.
full of drugs.
Full of drugs.
And I think that one of Diddy's biggest problems could be his arrogance, because he has been in situations where he could have been in a lot of trouble. He could have been in jail. He could have lost his career. He could have lost everything. But he was able to maneuver his way out of those situations and come out as being presumably innocent. And because of that, I think he does things that taunt the people that feel like they're victims. Like, even with Cassie, if Cassie was talking to him prior to filing her suit, then he should have settled with her before she actually filed it, as they supposedly asked. But what we saw was Diddy on a award show mentioning her and thanking her for holding him down during a hard time and gazing into the camera. Would you cut it out? Leave that lady alone. She is married. She has children. If this lady is pursuing you, saying that I'm going to file a suit against you for the abuse that I experienced, you probably shouldn't be on an award show stage telling her thanks for holding me down during the dark times. Same thing with Little Rod. If Little Rod's biggest issue really is just that you didn't pay me, just pay him, because I'm pretty sure whatever he was supposed to pay him is way less than the trouble that you're going through right now.
Way less.
Well, full disclosure, Little Rod was a client of ours, and we stepped out of it when he decided, obviously, to do what he did in terms of suing Diddy. So I'm not at liberty to say much more, but I would say
that says a lot.
I echo your sentiments, Carmen, that if Diddy could have settled this, it would have been hopefully a better thing for him. Yeah. But I'm praying for Rod. I love him to death, and he's got a very strong litigation team that's helping him, and they're relentless and they're good at what they do. And I just wish him well.
Before we get off that subject,
because I got a question.
I knew it was coming. CJ, thank you, CJ, because you were gonna let me get through this.
I was about to get to the next one.
Blowing love your way, CJ, because you were gonna help me.
Before we get off of that, what do you think about the way that his attorney writes these cases? Because they read like a novel, and the complaints have been like it's too much for
it's fiction.
I support Little Rod, and I think if if this is his, when you've been through, now I'm not speaking for Lil Rob because obviously client confidentialities prohibit me from speaking directly on that. But let's just generically say, or generally say, when you've been through what Cassie's been through, what some of the other women have been through with Weinstein. I watched, who is the woman that was in the movie with Wesley Snipes, Jungle Fever? Annabelle Sciorella. Annabella Sciorella. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. The white woman, the Italian woman who played the role with Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
So when she testified in the Weinstein case on what Weinstein had done to her and the abuse she went through to get parts and the things he did, you know, for her to, I guess, excel in Hollywood. So to your question, Carmen, when I read their lawsuits, I read it in the context of that pain she went through. And I have no judgment on how they share their pain, how they write their story, whether it sounds like a novel, whether some people say it sounds so tabloidish, sensationalized like a tabloid.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it because I can't imagine what it would feel like to be exploited allegedly by a Diddy or Weinstein or Cosby. And it's funny story with Cosby. I know y'all think, how does he have a story with Rod, with Diddy, with Cosby? But my life has kind of gone that way. When I was a student at college at Howard, Cosby was on campus the day we shut Howard down. I don't know if y'all remember in 89, 90, the students took over the A building and we shut Howard down for about a week. And Cosby was our keynote speaker. And I was a broadcast journalist major, and I was doing articles for the Washington Post, the Times, the local school newspaper. And me and Kelly Lynn Shoemake, Kelly Lynn, she's on Channel 8 in DC, we found ourselves caught in the Fine Arts building with all the commotion. They're trying to move Cosby, trying to get him out of Crampton Auditorium and shuffle him into the building next door. And they're trying to kick us out. And Kelly's a very pretty girl. And Cosby's like, no, let them in. Let them in. So now y'all know, fast forward to where we are now. I'm like, so nice to Kelly.
You pervert. No, I'm joking.
But he let us in the room. We got our interview. You know, we had the exclusive with him. And I'm not saying he did anything wrong in case my classmate is ever watching, because I'm very dear friends with her. But Cosby, you know, you got 50 women saying a similar story. They can't all be lying.
That's
exactly.
So back to your question, Carmen, I don't have a problem with the sensationalization of these complaints or these press statements or these posts by Rod's attorneys or anybody else's attorney, Gloria Allred, my buddy from CNN, her daughter, who used to be on CNN with me. I can't think of her name, but she's Gloria Allred's daughter. She's a lawyer that does these kind of cases as well. I support all of them because I don't know the pain that these women are in and the pain they'll be in for the rest of their life. These women and young men. If these men have been exploited, I don't know what that's like. And it's I don't want to compare men to women, but society is, I think, more compassionate to women that have been abused to men, Sheldon. With men, it's kind of like, well, why you let Sheldon abuse you? Well, why you fight? Well, I wouldn't have had no man making me do this to get this job. Like it's always that toxicity with men that we're somehow wrong. You know, I'm watching some of the comments about Rod on social media, and some of them are blaming him.
Blaming him. Yep.
Having a sensitivity and a compassion for him.
Literally heard this conversation 2 weeks ago in the locker room at LA Fitness. Literally, verbatim. Everything you're saying. I got a question, attorney Walker. Do you think the suing part of Diddy let me ask this anyway. Okay, hypothetically, if we were dealing with another case and we had different parties involved,
okay,
we have a plaintiff and we have a defendant.
Okay.
Said plaintiff in this case was dealing with some foolishness, worked with somebody,
I worked with CJ and she abused me.
Okay.
I would
in this case, in this case, is the plaintiff wrong for suing? And if so, what would have been the better plan of action opposed to suing?
With Diddy, most of the people who have sued him, from the stories I've read, they were trying for quite a period of time to settle with him and to avoid putting him on blast. It sounds like Cassie was going at it for a while. Some of the others we know, we've read their postings and their GoFundMes and stuff. So to your point, I'm never a lawyer that wants to just outright sue you. I want to try to work through it and see if we can sell it first. But if you can't resolve it, you sometimes are left with no other recourse but to sue. And suing gets costly. It's time consuming. It's a lot if you're going through the whole discovery process, depositions, and all of that stuff. So nobody really wants that.
Right.
Okay, so gotcha. So when you say you stepped away at that particular juncture in this, so that was the reason why, though, because you felt like the suing was presumptuous, like ahead of time, or you had a different plan of action.
You get into conversation.
No, I'm just trying to figure out. No, like seriously, like
I love that necklace. I love your necklace.
Thank you. And this beautiful necklace. You know who might get something like this?
Who?
Our next person. That is Ray J and Princess. The fact they got to divorce for the 4th time.
Thank you for turning that corner there.
We ain't about to get our friend this part. Don't do that.
Thank you. Call me at home. Sheldon, call me at home sometime, Sheldon.
According to people.com, over a month after Princess filed for divorce from Ray J for the 4th time over the course of their relationship, the singer is asking for joint custody of their kids. That most of their assets be kept separate, split several of their assets, including miscellaneous jewelry we were just talking about, and other personal effects, and Ray J's earnings since the date of their separation. He did get that big check. That's right. So reportedly, Ray J's potential gains from selling Raycon shares to fall between 35 to 45 million to possibly even upwards of 85 to 100 million.
Yeah.
Could Princess Love be entitled to the recent Raycon gains from this sale?
Yes, she could be. When I'm representing the wives in situations like this, I push for half of everything because they're marital. I argue that that's marital assets, unless there's a prenup. When I did, this is public information, so I can say it. I represented the husband in the Jill Scott case, and they had a prenuptial agreement. So when you have a prenuptial agreement, it obviously sets forth how everything goes.
Right.
But if there's no prenuptial agreement here, I'm going to argue on behalf of Princess that, I want half that 80 million.
I think she definitely deserves it.
Me too.
In terms of everything that they've been through and the wildness that his biggest claim to fame is one wish.
Now, let me say this. If you're Ray J, why did you let it get here? Let's talk legal counsel. If you have $80 million, you go to this woman with 10 million and you say, look, I'm going to cut you a check for 10 million. We're going to do an uncontested divorce. I'm going to give you 300 grand a year in spousal support, which is about 30 grand a month, somewhere around there a month. Plus I'll do something for the kids, keep them in private school. I'm going to make sure your lifestyle doesn't change, but I need you not to file nothing, post nothing. We don't need a joint statement. We don't need to do none of that. Just be quiet. Y'all notice when these white couples break up, a lot of times they don't do all that.
We don't even know.
We don't even know. Besides Brad and Angelina and all their drama because they got 800 kids, they thought they were really black. I mean, I know he's cool and black women like him, but he's really going through a black divorce in some ways with all of the back and forth. But most of these relationships, they do it like Jennifer Aniston did when she broke up with Brad. It was kind of quiet. You look at some of the other ones. Kevin Costner just went through his. It was kind of quiet. Wife took a jab here and there, but for the most part, it was quiet. Only us, we do something where it's in all these magazines and it's like a real Housewives of Hollywood kind of moment. And even those couples that I represent, I probably have 7 clients on these Real Housewife shows, and I try to tell them, like, if y'all break up, do it quiet, do it low key. Don't make it a spectacle because you got kids involved. Kids don't see that. You got families involved. You got girlfriends. It's just, and they usually don't listen to me until the fan hits the